Hey adventurers, so today is going to be a review for Death on the Nile. This is the new movie that was released starring Kenneth Branagh and several other actors. So I read the book. When did I read the book? Last February, I think I read the book. Now I can't remember, but I read the book and I was super excited to watch the movie, and I loved Murder on the Orient Express, the movie, and so I was hoping that the second movie in this series would be just as good as the first one. And unfortunately I was fairly disappointed with the book. It wasn't horrible, or with the movie, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but there was a lot about it that I didn't love. And well, I'll get into my thoughts a little bit more. I didn't write anything down, so this is just all coming from my mind, and it's been 2 weeks now since I watched the movie because I didn't have time to film a video last week. So it's not quite so fresh in my mind anymore. But I did still want to get my thoughts out on this movie. First off, I really liked the cast. Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot is just amazing. Kenneth Branagh as anybody is amazing. But I also liked Gal Gadot as that character. Letitia Wright is one of the actresses that I've been really impressed with recently, and am excited to see more of her work, and so I liked what I saw of her in this movie. Several other actresses actors and actresses just did a really good job in there. Pretty much everybody did a really good job with the roles that they were given. Unfortunately, one of the biggest issues that I had was that they removed some characters and gave their traits and attributes to some of the other characters instead, and so it kind of mixed up some of the characterizations of the characters, and that wasn't something that I particularly enjoyed. The other thing that I really didn't care for was a lot of the dialogue that was written for the movie was just didn't work. It was written to make the movie feel more sexy and more interesting and more alive and different and weird, but it didn't work. It actually took away from the story in many ways by including all that unnecessary dialogue that wasn't in the books, and because it wasn't in the books, I can tell you that it was unnecessary. You didn't need it to tell the story. So there was that. There was also some changes to what types of character, or what types of, well, for one, it changed. There was pretty much every change that I saw made was what I would consider unnecessary changes. There was a handful of the unnecessary changes that I didn't mind. They didn't really bother me the way that they were done. They were still unnecessary, and they could have been done just as easily the other way. And so, although there were some of these changes that I didn't mind, overall most of them really didn't help the story in any way, shape, or form. And because of that, what ended up happening is, by the removal of certain characters, I think I'm pretty sure I can remember at least 3 characters that were completely removed and 1 character that was completely swapped out. And by the removal and changing of those characters and giving those attributes to other characters and stuff like that, it removed much of the complexity of the story of the book. And while I didn't necessarily love the book, I didn't hate it, but what I liked about the book is the complexity of that mystery, how many different layers you had to get through in order to understand what was really happening. And by removing 3 of those characters, you essentially took out half the intrigue and half of the complexity of the story. And so I didn't like that. I understand that it's still a movie and it has to fit into the time constraints that they have for it, but I feel like the way that they ended up changing those things to make it work with the new story that was different could have been done the same way with just by keeping those characters in. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that. Overall, it was not a bad movie, but just not nearly as good as I was hoping it was going to be, because Murder on the Orient Express, absolutely wonderful movie. It worked so well. The story that was told there, after rewatching the movie again, there definitely are quite a few changes and things done to make simple things like moving the interviews from all in one room to around so that it would be more interesting to look at, but there's also some action sequences that were added or whatever to make it more interesting again. So there was some of that type of stuff in Murder on the Orient Express that didn't bother me nearly as much, because they still helped it was still basically the same story, and it was really well done, and it actually just told the story really well. So I liked Murder on the Orient Express, but Death on the Nile, it didn't work nearly as well for me. The movie was fine. At this point, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. It was fine, nothing really spectacular. I liked the cast. That was really the biggest highlight for me, was the cast, and unfortunately, a good cast isn't enough to make a good movie. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts for this movie. I'll leave it at that, but thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and occasionally on Wednesdays if we've got adaptation stuff like this. We have our social medias linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.